Reminder, Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle. We'll be broadcasting live tomorrow from Detroit's new home for sports, ESPN Bet, at Hollywood Casino Greektown. All right, NBA last night, you had two road teams win in Indiana and Dallas. Those series are now split at 1 apiece for each of those two series with the Clippers and, of course, the Bucks. And the Timberwolves go up 2-0 in their series over the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have never come back from an 0-2 deficit. In 14 different times they've been down 0-2 in a series in NBA history. Now, obviously, previous times that they were down 0-2, irrelevant, obviously, in the grand scheme of things for this year, but certainly looking like Minnesota is going to win that series. When you don't get a huge game from Anthony Edwards and you still win, that's tremendous for Minnesota. Kawhi comes back last night, not enough for the Clippers with the Mavs. And then obviously Indiana gets a big game, Pascal Siakam against the Giannis-less Bucks. Also, NFL draft tomorrow, as we've discussed, and all weekend. Obviously, ESPN Radio with all of the coverage, ABC as well. Storylines today, we know Caleb Williams is going to go 1 to the Bears. We know that Jaden Daniels is going to go 2 to the Commanders at this point. We believe Drake May is going to go 3. He's going to join us in about an hour and a half, the North Carolina quarterback. We don't know the team he's going to go to. And one interesting development here is the odds around J.J. McCarthy have lowered big time for him to go 5 overall. Not necessarily to the Chargers, but J.J. McCarthy is, at this point, Smalls, it feels like he's the most interesting player to keep an eye on tomorrow night during the draft. Yeah,
because the range that we're hearing that he could be drafted, I think, is the biggest. We're hearing he could go as high as potentially, well, I would be surprised if he went in the top 3, but maybe 4, maybe 5. And then some people are saying, no, he's more of a mid-first rounder. So the fact that you have that wide range of slots for him to potentially land in, I think is really fascinating. I'm in the camp that he's going to go in that 5 to 10 range, probably closer to 5 than to 10, because he is a quarterback. You always need a franchise quarterback, especially coming off this year when you had over 60 quarterbacks play in the NFL because of such an intense rash of injuries. You need quarterbacks more than ever. I totally see him going it closer to 5 than 10, but in that range.
It seems like everyone believes that Drake May will go to one of New England or Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy will go to the other one.
Yes.
And the slots in which all of them go is going to be very interesting because of the fact that it's not crazy to think that Minnesota trades up with their 11th and 23rd pick, probably next year's first, maybe some other things to get 3, and then New England takes maybe 11 and 23 and goes back up to get number 5 from the Chargers. Just something to keep an eye on there with the draft tomorrow night. Now, Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys, Jerry spoke yesterday. So the theme all offseason with the Cowboys has been all in. They've basically done nothing to indicate that they are going all in. He spoke to the media yesterday, and don't ask me why. Don't ask Smalls why. He triples down on the all-in statement.
We're very proud of our personnel, very proud of this roster. Very much think this roster, without knowing right now how much the rookies are going to contribute. We're very feel good about the promise of the team that we're going to have this year with this roster. We will have young players step up. We feel great about what we've been in free agency. All in. All in. All in. We're all in with these young guys coming on. And we're all in with this draft.
Does he have like licensing and royalties on the phrase all in? Why does he feel the need to constantly use that?
But did you hear what he said there?
All in. I heard that 17 times.
Yes, but at the end, we're all in on these young guys coming up, and we're all in on the draft.
Well, obviously, what did we think he's going to trade all the picks for Ricky Williams?
No, but he didn't say we're all in on Dak.
But wait, there's more. Here is Jerry Jones's comments about Dak and what he is going to surround him with.
Dak has enjoyed in his career that we're proud of some of the best supporting cast that you could put around him. And to move forward, we're going to have to diminish that. That's a fact. That's the rules. And so that's our challenge, and to make it work out. Dak, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, I can't even blink on that one.
We're going to have to diminish the talent around him. That's what happens when you pay a quarterback, and you can't pay everyone else. But if you pay people in advance, you don't have to diminish it as much. Neither of those were my favorite thing he said yesterday.
What was?
Why he hasn't gotten the deals done with Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
Well, we'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see some more action. It's called option. A lot of guys need to hand it off. First guy through the line. Another one will keep it another step, decide whether to pitch it or not. He'll decide whether to turn upfield with it, and then he's still got a pitch left. I've spent my life being an option quarterback. It'd be madness not to know that the contracts are ahead. I want to see a few more cards play.
Okay, so there's so many things here. He says he's waiting for the leaves to fall, like leaves falling off trees. Mm-hmm. That means what? More time? Like what? How are we going to decipher what he's actually saying here? Because I literally took notes on these comments to see if I could figure this out. He said, we're all in on these young guys. We're going to let the leaves fall off the tree. So does that mean they have to prove more? They have to get cheaper? Like, what do the leaves off the tree in the fall actually mean in this comparison by Jerry?
Well, he was talking about options.
Right.
So I think he's basically saying we need to see how things develop, how the market develops. Leaves could fall off trees, maybe meaning the situation, the circumstances, and or what they want to do at the position and or who else may be available could change as the season goes on.
I don't know. I may have taken it a little differently. I took it as like we just need more time. Like I almost need them to prove it one more year before I pay them.
But he's talking about options though, which to me.
Well, and then he made himself into an option quarterback running the wishbone for Army all of a sudden.
To be honest, it was very hard to follow along. I listened to those
why it was my favorite comment
several times yesterday, trying to make heads and tails of them, and a lot of them were contradictory. Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't even have to blink on that one. Sounds pretty steadfast in him. But when he's talking about the contract, we need to see how the leaves fall. I'm an option quarterback. Well, that also doesn't really drive home your desire to get a deal done with Dak. So I don't really know where he stands on this and where he frankly stands on what all in is for the Dallas Cowboys. Because from where I sit, I don't see a team that's all in. I see a team that isn't better than they were in the playoffs last year. And that's unfortunately the only way that we measure the Dallas Cowboys, by postseason success. And do I think that this team, as currently constructed, is going to be able to get further in the playoffs than they did last year? No.
How would you describe all in based on what you heard yesterday? What the heck does that mean?
Based on what I heard yesterday, I think it sounds like he's more all in on the future and the next iteration of the Dallas Cowboys. I think he's certainly given you the indications that he would like to get it done with the CeeDee Lambs and Dak Prescotts and Micah Parsons. Like, he wants to retain the talent. I think they're laying the groundwork to say if it doesn't get done, if we can't make the financial puzzle work, that doesn't mean that we don't have an eye towards the future and that we're not rebooting the team.
Can anyone out there translate Jerry Jones for us from yesterday? 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. What exactly does he mean by we need to see the leaves fall? Because to me, I take that maybe a little differently than you took it, Smalls, as the idea of him just waiting. Like, all right, I need to see more from Dak. I need to see more from CeeDee Lamb. I need to see more from Micah. Micah Parsons. The problem with that is Dak is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. And all of these comments and all of the I'm going to call them allegations around all in, because alleged all in. There's no evidence of all in. Drafting well is not all in. Drafting well is what your job is supposed to be. And to the Cowboys' credit, they have been phenomenal at the draft for however long that Jerry's been there. They've always had good young players out of the draft, but that's not the definition of all in. And the longer he waits, the less likely I think it is that Dak is even going to want to be there.
Could not agree more. And I also think if we're doing the decipher game, reading the tea leaves here, he said something that I thought was very pointed and very interesting when he said Dak has enjoyed, I'm paraphrasing here, a complement of weapons and talents that we have put on around him throughout his career. That's not going to be the same next year because of the way that the financials work. He's basically telling you Dak not only has to get further in the playoffs, but he's not going to have as much talent around him as he has in years past. Can he be the reason why other people around him are better? Can Dak Prescott be the reason why the Dallas Cowboys not only have success in the regular season, but have success in the postseason?
Well, if that's going to be the case, and they're going to adopt, as ESPN.com has featured the quarterback rules of mine. Yeah, that's right. I'm featured on ESPN.com.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is that why you laminated them?
Yeah. Well, I didn't laminate them, but someone did, which
Nice.
I appreciate. I wrote Pay QBs to make wide receivers great. Don't pay wide receivers to make QBs great. That was featured on ESPN.com. Just saying. So in this scenario, with what you just laid out, Smalls, why aren't we talking about CeeDee Lamb trade rumors? Because we haven't done that once. He's in the final year of his contract. Because what Jerry Jones is saying is, I'm going to now pay a quarterback to make wide receivers better. I'm going to pay a quarterback to make the running back better because I haven't brought in anybody of, Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard previously, like that level. I haven't brought anybody in. So why are we not talking about CeeDee Lamb in the same way that we're talking about Brandon Ayuk with the Niners about possible trades? All we're talking about with Lamb is a possible extension. Well, why don't they move him?
Well, because and
he's great, by the way.
Taking Jerry Jones at his word, even though we don't see evidence of it, that this team is all in. And how are you going to be all in if you move on from CeeDee Lamb? You're just not.
But he's all in the way in which he described all in, which is on the young guys that he's going to bring in that he can't pay as much as he would pay Dak Prescott. So if that's going to be the philosophy, then you would think, hey, I'm going to move expiring contracts now that I'm not willing to pay later for more picks or guys